What if I told you a couple making over six figures is one unexpected bill away from falling apart? They did everything right. Degrees, careers, promotions, marriage, a home in a good neighborhood. She earns $62,000 in marketing. He brings in $71,000 in IT. That's $133,000 a year. On paper, they're winning. Top 25% of households. So why does it feel like they're barely staying afloat? Why did a single car repair last month go straight onto a credit card? Why do they only have a couple months of savings, if that? Why are they exhausted, stressed, and constantly wondering where the money went? Here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't a budgeting problem. This is a system that quietly turns two incomes into one fragile lifeline, and chances are you're in it too. Because the biggest lie we've been sold is simple. Two incomes make life easier. In reality, for millions of families, it's doing the exact opposite. And once you see why, you won't be able to unsee it. My name is Wojak, and I've spent years breaking down why dual-income households often feel poorer than single-income families from decades ago. If you've ever looked at your income and thought, "We make too much money to feel this broke," stay with me, because what's really happening behind the scenes explains everything. We've all been sold the same simple idea. Two incomes are better than one. It sounds logical. If one person earning $50,000 can support a family, then two people earning $50,000 each should be thriving, saving more, investing more, living better. That's just basic math, right? Except, that's not what happened. In reality, something very different unfolded. As two-income households became normal, the cost of living quietly adjusted to absorb both incomes, and almost nobody noticed it happening. Housing got more expensive. Healthcare costs exploded. Childcare became unavoidable. Education costs skyrocketed. And suddenly, that second income stopped being extra. It became required. This phenomenon has a name. It's called the two-income trap. And it was first studied by Elizabeth Warren back in 2003, long before she became a senator. She analyzed thousands of families who had filed for bankruptcy, and what she found shocked people. Families with two incomes were more likely to go bankrupt than those with one. Think about that. Two incomes. More risk. That shouldn't make sense, but it does. What Warren discovered was counterintuitive, and yet when you look closely, it explains so much of the financial anxiety people feel today. She wasn't studying people who were lazy or reckless. She was studying families who had followed the rules, who had done what society told them to do. They were educated, they were employed, they were married, and they were still going broke. Why? Because they had no margin left. They had played their last card just to get into the game. To understand why, we need to go back in time. Let's go to 1970. Back then, most middle-class families had one primary income. Usually the father worked, and the mother managed the household. And here's the part most people don't realize. That one income was enough. Not barely enough. Actually, enough. A typical family could afford a home using about 25% of their income. They could afford food, healthcare, a car, and still have money left over. They had breathing room. They had margin. They had flexibility. And that flexibility wasn't just nice to have. It shaped their entire experience of life. It meant they could save a little each month without it feeling like a sacrifice. It meant a sick child or a broken appliance didn't trigger a financial panic. It meant they could take a modest vacation without going into debt. That margin acted like a shock absorber for all the small, normal, unpredictable things that happen to every family. But most importantly, they had a backup plan. If the main earner lost their job, the other parent could step into the workforce. That second income wasn't necessary. It was insurance. Think about how powerful that was. The second adult in the household represented an untapped resource, not someone already exhausted from working. Someone who had availability capacity, and energy in reserve. If the family hit a crisis, that person could generate income. They could stabilize the ship. That was the safety net, and it sat there, unused, for years, just in case. Now, fast forward to today. Two-income households are the norm. In most families, both parents are working. That backup plan, it's already in use. And that changes everything. Because now, there is no safety net, no reserve, no second option. If one income disappears, the entire system breaks. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Even though households are earning more than ever before, it doesn't feel that way, because costs have grown even faster. Housing prices have more than doubled relative to income. In 1970, a median home cost about 2.5 times the median household income. Today, it's more than 5 times. That alone explains a huge part of the squeeze. Healthcare costs have increased by over 600%. Even with employer insurance, families face deductibles that can run into the thousands, premiums that eat a growing share of each paycheck, and medical bills that arrive like surprise attacks. Childcare can easily cost $15,000 to $30,000 per year, per child. For a family with 2 young kids, that can be the equivalent of a full second income, just to keep the children safe and supervised while both parents work. College tuition has exploded by over 1,000%. Parents who want to help their kids avoid crushing student debt are facing numbers that feel impossible. Saving for college has become its own massive financial burden, layered on top of everything else. So yes, we're earning more, but we're also spending more, just to exist, and every extra dollar from that second income gets absorbed, not by luxury, but by survival. The second income didn't buy a yacht, it didn't buy European vacations. It went to the mortgage, it went to the daycare center, it went to the health insurance premium, it went to keeping the wheels on the bus for one more month. Now let's break this down in a way that really hits. Imagine one partner earns $70,000. The other earns $50,000. That extra $50,000 feels like a huge advantage. But watch what actually happens. First, taxes. Because it stacks on top of the first income, it's taxed at a higher rate. Now that $50,000 becomes closer to $32,000. Then comes childcare, around $15,000 per year for one child. Now you're at $17,000. Then commuting costs, gas, maintenance, maybe even a second car. That's another $8,000 gone. Now you're at $9,000. Then come the hidden costs. What I call exhaustion expenses. When both people are working full-time, time disappears, energy disappears, and convenience becomes necessary. More takeout, more delivery, more services, more spending just to keep life functioning. When you're both rushing from work to pick up to home, there's no hour to chop vegetables. There's no energy to clean the bathroom, so you pay someone else to do it, or you pay for the faster, more expensive version of everything. That can easily cost another $5,000 to $10,000 per year, which means that second income might only be contributing a few $1,000s, or nothing at all. And if you have 2 children in daycare, or you live in a high-cost city, or you have a long commute, the number can go negative. Someone is working full-time, spending 40 or 50 hours a week away from home, and the household is netting close to zero from that effort. That's not a side hustle. That's a treadmill. And here's the real trap. You don't make decisions based on what's left. You make decisions based on the full income. You buy the house both salaries can support. You take on payments both incomes can handle. You build a life that requires both incomes. And now, you're stuck. Because if one income disappears, everything is at risk. This is why so many families feel like they're drowning. Not because they're failing, but because they're maxed out, running at full capacity, with no margin for error. And that feeling of being maxed out doesn't just live in your bank account. It lives in your body, in your relationships, in the way you snap at your partner over small things, because the background stress never really goes away. It lives in the guilt of not spending enough time with your kids, in the exhaustion of trying to be a good employee, and a good parent, and a good spouse, all at once, with no reserve of time or energy left. It lives in the quiet thought you have sometimes, late at night. Is this really what we worked so hard for? And then you wake up and do it all again, because the payments don't stop. So, what's the solution? You don't try to earn your way out. Because more income alone doesn't fix the trap. You change the structure. Instead of building a life that requires two incomes, you build one that can survive on one. This is what I call the one income foundation. Your essential expenses, your housing, transportation, and necessities can all be covered by a single income. The second income becomes optional, and that changes everything. Because optional income creates flexibility. Flexibility creates security, and security creates freedom. Now, this isn't easy. It requires trade-offs. It means buying a smaller house, driving simpler cars, saying no to upgrades. It means resisting the pressure to keep up with everyone else. It means having conversations with your partner that might be uncomfortable. Realigning what you value, separating what you actually need from what the world has told you to want. It might mean moving to a neighborhood where the schools are good enough, not the best. It might mean keeping your paid-off car for another 5 years while your friends lease new ones. It might mean saying no to expensive activities for your kids and teaching them that contentment doesn't come from constant consumption. These are real sacrifices, and they carry a social cost. People might think you're struggling when you're actually building a fortress. But here's what you gain in return. Within a few years, you stop feeling trapped. You start building real wealth. Your emergency fund covers 6 months, then a year. Your retirement accounts start to swell. You begin to see a future where work is a choice, not a necessity. And eventually, you gain something most people never have. Options. The ability to step back from work if needed. The ability to handle emergencies without panic. The ability to choose instead of react. When a parent gets sick, you can take time off to care for them without losing the house. When a job becomes toxic, you can leave before you have something else lined up. When your child needs extra attention, you can be there. That is what real wealth looks like. It doesn't look like a luxury car. It looks like a quiet Tuesday afternoon where you realize you're okay. You're actually okay. Because real wealth isn't about income. It's about control. And right now, millions of people are earning more than ever, but have less control than ever before. They have impressive resumes and fragile lives. They have LinkedIn profiles that look successful and bank accounts that feel like a leaky bucket. They've been running so fast they didn't notice the track was tilted. Now you understand why. The system didn't break, it adapted. It took the extra income that women and families fought hard to earn, and it absorbed it into fixed costs. Not through some villainous conspiracy, but through the quiet, steady logic of markets and expectations. When everyone had 2 incomes, the baseline for what it costs to be middle class simply shifted upward. No one voted on it. No one chose it. But it happened. And unless you see it clearly, you'll keep playing a game designed to keep you stuck. You'll keep thinking the next raise will fix it, the next promotion, the next side hustle. But the goalpost moves with you. The only way to win is to stop playing by rules you didn't write. To build a life that doesn't require maximum effort just to hold steady. To reclaim margin, even if it means looking less successful on paper. But now you know. And that changes everything. Once you see the trap, you can step out of it. Not overnight, not dramatically, but step by step, decision by decision. You can redesign your life around what you value, rather than what the bank says you can afford. You can create space between your income and your expenses, and use that space to breathe, to save, to live. You can stop being a machine that converts 2 paychecks into bills, and start being a person again. So the real question is, what are you going to do differently? Because now you know, and you can't unsee it.